Alright, we are live. Today we're gonna keep finding and reading all the books in Morrowind, and as you've just noticed, I've got a bit of a problem. I got the hiccups. Which is... I definitely can't read in this state. Yeah, so I don't know what I'm gonna do on it, honestly. Oh man. What the heck? What did I just do? Oh, there we go. Okay. There we go. Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, it's not great. Not the best. I have the hiccups right now. Oh, I also forgot my, this is really annoying. I forgot my pen. Alright. Still got the hiccups, but whatever. I don't know what to do about it. I've tried the typical strategies, you know, reminding yourself you're not. Oh my goodness. That probably sounds horrible. You know, tried the typical strategies, reminding yourself you're not a fish. That one usually works. Tried to tell myself that I'm not a fish, but it hasn't really worked out. Other than that, you know, like holding your breath, that kind of thing, also hasn't really worked. But what can you do? So, alright, well, first we'll look around, see if there's any books that I do need to read here. Because I think I might have already read most of these. Like this one, I feel like I've read. Looking in the notebook right now. That's not where I thought it would be. Okay. Well, the other thing that I can do now is go ahead and look at the website. Alright, so let me check books by subject. We'll do Control F. Almalexia. Homilies of Blessed Almalexia should be in Religion and Prophecy. Didn't see it there, though. I'm pretty sure I've read it anyway, so it feels pointless to check like this, but I don't know. I haven't read it. Alright, well, we're gonna see what happens. I do still have hiccups. I haven't felt them in a little bit, so maybe we're good. Hopefully. Hopefully the hiccups have left me. My strategy of reminding myself I'm not a fish has hopefully succeeded. We can read this book and not be interrupted by a loud hiccup. Alright. The Homilies of Blessed Almalexia. Sothasil and the Scribs. Young Sothasil, while playing in the egg mine, saw a number of scribs in a deep shaft, and he began to cast stones upon them, snickering as they skittered and scattered, until one of the scribs, lifting its head up in agony, cried out to Sothasil, "Please, please, have mercy, little boy, for what is sport to you is suffering and death to us." And so Sothasil discovered that the idle amusement of one may be the solemn tortures of another. Lord Vivek and the contentious beasts. A shock and a Kagudi were strutting back and forth in a foyer, casting aspersions of one another's looks. "You are the ugliest creature alive," the shock told the Kagudi. "No, you are the ugliest creature alive," and the Kagudi told the shock. For each thought himself the most handsome, and the other the most ugly. Then Lord Vivek chanced by and settled their dispute. "No, you are both the ugliest creatures alive, and I will not have my pleasant sojourn spoiled by your unseemly squabbling." So he dealt them both mighty blows, shattering their skulls and silencing their arguments, and went merrily upon his way. And thus Lord Vivek proved that one's ugliness is as much in one's appearance is as much in one's manner as in one's appearance. The boiled Kagudi. It is said that if a Kagudi steps into a boiling pool, he will leap out immediately to avoid harm. But if the Kagudi is standing in a pool, and a wizard slowly raises the temperature and measure by measure to boiling, the Kagudi will calmly stand in place until he is boiled. Thus we see that we must be alert, not only to the obvious danger, but also to the subtle degrees by which change may result in danger. The dubious healer. Once upon a time, Telvanni issued forth from his tower and proclaimed to all the world that he was a mighty and learned healer, master of all alchemy and potions, and able to cure all diseases. Lord Vivek looked upon this wizard and listened to his boasting, and then asked him, "How can you pretend to prescribe for others the cure to all diseases, when you're unable to cure yourself of your own manifest arrogance and foolishness?" The Gwar and the Mud Crab. The Gwar were so tormented by other creatures they did not know where to go. As soon as they saw a single beast approach them, off they dashed in terror. One day they saw a pack of nixhounds ranging about, and in a desperate panic, all the Gwar scuttled off towards the sea, determined to drown themselves rather than live in such a continual state of fear. But just as they got near the shoreline, a colony of mudcrabs, frightened in their turn by the approach of the Gwar, scuttled off and threw themselves into the water. "Truly," said one of the Gwar, "things are not so bad as they seem, for there's always someone worse off than you." The Wounded Netch. A wounded Netch lay himself down in a quiet corner of its feeding ground. His healthy companions came in great numbers to inquire after his health, yet each one helped himself to a share of the fodder which had been placed there for his use, so that the poor Netch died, not from his wounds, but from the greed and carelessness of his erstwhile friends. And so it is clear that thoughtless companions may bring more harm than help. I already read that one. I just, for some reason, hadn't marked it in the notebook. I feel like I read that last stream, but oh well. No issue with reading something twice. Alright. It's still a nice little children's book, I feel like. You know, I feel like if somebody, like, illustrated this, you could make it into, like, a little picture book, read it to kids. I think they'd like it. Especially if you know, made all the scribs and the, guar and stuff look real cool. And that to be kind of well drawn, I guess. I mean, you know, for it to be a good picture book, it would kind of hinge on the illustration here. The story is pretty basic, like all the homilies. They're like pretty like, you know, the was it the guar in the the boiled kagudi. You know, I'm pretty sure there's already some children's book story that, you know, has a lobster or crab or whatever, because I mean that's a real life thing. But, you know, so it kind of just depend on the illustration for kids to like that one. But it could be good. Also, it seems that telling myself I'm not a fish has worked, and I don't have the hiccups. I'd been trying it for the past half hour though, so. You know, or not a half hour, but like 15 minutes. Alright, read all those. Frontier, Conquest, The Wolf Queen, Reflections of Cult Worship, Lives of the Saints, Vampires of Vardenfell V1. Rooms at Camel's I've read. Reflections on Cult Worship, I believe I've read as well. I'm not sure though. I have. Mysterious Akavir, I have read that one. I know, I'm almost certain there. Yeah. Okay, Overview of Gods and Worship. I think I've read that one. Yeah, I have. Lives of Saints I've read. The Wolf Queen Book 5. That is... I think I read that last time. At the end of the stream. But I'm just going to go ahead and check real quick. The Wolf Queen, Book 1, yeah, Book 5. There we go, I've already read that one. Vampires of Vardenfell. I remember I've read one of them. I don't know which one. It might have been one. I think I checked this at the end of the last stream. To be honest. But we'll just go ahead and check anyway. If I can find it. Where the heck is it? Yeah, I read volume 1. Okay, I think that's all the books here. So it turns out I'd read every book. I've already read every book here. Okay, well that's fine. It's a bit dark in here. The reason I'm here isn't for the books anyway.
Any time now.
There is a person I need to find because they take you to the capital of Morrowind. Mournhold. I think that's what it's called. Mournhold, I'm pretty sure is the right name. Hello, Colby Ellis. Subbed. Nice. It's good to hear. Oh wait, is this her? Ascian Rain. I feel like that's her. Unless I can't do it yet, which like it might be a level requirement. Well, let me look it up again. Mournhold, Morrowind. Because I've never been to Mournhold, because it's part of the Tribunal DLC, which I haven't gotten to yet. I do have it. I do have the DLC, but I haven't, I haven't actually played through it yet. I just want to check it out. Getting there. Okay. Ascian Rain provides teleportation to Mournhold. Yeah. It might be that I have to be attacked by a Dark Brotherhood assassin first, though. Yeah. I think I have to... Because they attack you, and then you take the note from their body, and I think that directs you to Ascian Rain. And then without that, you might not be able to actually get there, which, that's sad. So, maybe I just have to sleep a bunch in-game to be able to go to Mournhold. Because I do want to go. It seems cool. Sadly, we can't do it yet. So, where should I go next to find some more books? I have been kind of putting it off because I wanted to take my time with it. But maybe maybe I should just go to Vivec. Because I know there's a big library in Vivec. I'm sure and I know there's like one bookseller who has tons of books. If I remember correctly, he's like an exotic bookseller or something like that. He was part of the main storyline. I remember him from that, and so I think that might be the best bet. Is because I don't know. I mean, I could just wander around some more, but I think, yeah, I think it's time to just go to all the cities. I mean, maybe I don't start with... Yeah, let's go to Vivec. There should be lots of books here. So we'll see. Okay, where is Vivec? I can't see it. Oh, it's right there. Don't know, I missed that. It's very dark, I guess. This is why I need to go to sleep, so I can make it daytime. And hope and pray to get attacked by assassins. Alright, Vivec is very big. It's a bit confusing to navigate, honestly. I always get lost. Oh, I don't even remember where the Mages Guild is. Hold on. There's a better way to go about this, though. If I remember correctly, there is a guy on a boat right nearby here that I can ask to, yeah, the boat down there, I believe. And I can ask him to take me to the different quarters. Arena, Hlalu, and Telvanni. I don't know. Let's try Hlalu. I mean, I don't know. I don't know where the Mages Guild is. I don't think this is gonna be right, but it might be. Let's see, it's definitely not the foreign quarter. I think it's Saint Deline. I believe that the mage skill is at. Because I can actually sleep there. I'm so slow. Really need to level up my athletics so I can go at a decent pace. Come on. I just gotta hop around everywhere. I hope I level up soon. Which, honestly, how far away am I from leveling up? Pretty close. No. Looks like acrobatics isn't gonna level me up at all. Alright, so there's Saint Deline. So if I am right, which I hope I am, athletics increased to 23 and now I can level up. Awesome. Perfect timing. I'm about to go to bed anyway. This will be the first level up that I've done in after playing for like 15 hours. Alright, how do I get up? Ugh. Vivek is too dark. This should be the right way, but I can't even see anything. Let's see, can I like turn the brightness up? I can turn interior brightness up, but I don't think I can do the outside, like exterior brightness. I don't think I can just like turn up. I'm just gonna have to fumble through the dark here a little bit. I think I'm going the right way. Yes, I made it up. Alright, so let's see if I was oh, no, it's just, oh, fuck. What the hell? Why is there a ghost in there? Actually really want to know. Let's see if we can cast a spell. Wait, what? Even with the Daedric Spear I can't hit him? Okay, no, I can. It's just not doing a lot of damage. He's doing... Oh, right, because... I forgot, because... Stamina. Fatigue. Let's get a bunch of these. I probably didn't need that much. Come on. Oh no. Come on. Come on. Come on. One more hit. Nice. I barely survived. Ancestor Guardian. Okay. So did I just... I think that was just like a guardian spirit and I trespassed and that's why it came at me. Because I talked about that. I mean, they said it was a kind of practice that wasn't used anymore in the lore, but there's like a thing where the ancestor spirits, you know, they can make a kind of wall around their around their property, and then when like an ancestor, when a family member dies, they can sacrifice like their spirit or something to protect your property, and they'll remain as ghosts and, you know, forever protect the property. But it's not used anymore because, you know, they needed them elsewhere. Let's level speed and intelligence. And personality. It's probably not the best way to do it, but whatever. let's see. I wonder, I mean, it did not even say whose home this was, so I've just kind of done a home invasion, and also the bed isn't, like, claimed. Usually when there's a... Usually you can't just sleep in random beds.
If you're here for trouble, you'll get more than you...
This does not look like the right spot. Well, I did sleep anyway, so it's fine. I don't really... The only reason I was going to the Mages Guild was because I know there's a bed there. But this does look like the place where the... I don't know if this is right, but this does look like the place... I think it might be
Keep moving.
where the bookseller is. I believe there might be a bookshop here. What? I don't know. Vivek is a very confusing city, honestly. Glassworkers Hall?
What do you want?
We have some questions. Background. He's a commoner, okay. Commoner, I do whatever needs doing. Okay, well I thought this was like a glass making place. Could have been pretty interesting, but it's just... They're just random commoners, I guess. Yep, okay. What's up here?
Speak, traveler.
Yeah, I got lots of glass. Oh my goodness. I will. Trader, general merchant, buy and sell, little everything. Okay, let's see what he's got. Got a bunch of glass. I don't know what that's about. They all say they're just kind of general commoners and merchants, I guess. Alright, well, I really do hope that I'm right. It'll be, this is where the bookshop is. But it is seeming unlikely. I think I might have been wrong. But we can hop on down here.
Keep moving.
There's nothing here. What the heck?
Speak, traveler.
And Vivek is so it's so confusing. I don't know where I'm going in Vivek. Alright, so I need to go...
Quick, Outlander. If you're here for trouble.
Let's see. I need to go up a little bit. And then out here, I think... I mean, I still might be right about the Mages Guild. I just have to go... like, on the top section of this place. So, like, as the waste works, so if I go up here into the plaza, I might actually be right. Glasswork Hall, no. Come on. Mages Guild. I mean, I'm not even trying to go to the Mages Guild actually at this point. But I just want to see if I was correct in assuming that the Mages Guild was
Speak, traveler.
in St. Ellen. It is not. This seems to be just kind of whoa. Caius Olanus. Excuse me, can you help me? No, I'm over here. My name is Caius. Oh, Cassius Olanus. Sorry, you see, I've been made invisible by a wizard. Made invisible? Yes. The wizard of Faven Raylan cursed me with invisibility. You can't imagine what it's like living like this. No one will talk to me. Everyone thinks I'm a ghost of some sort. I can't take this any longer. I'm afraid to go talk to the wizard, and my father, the trader, will think me a fool. Please, can you try and help me? I'll try. Can't tell you how awful this is. People always walk into me, knocking me down. No one to talk to. It's awful. Alright, so who's this guy? He's mage in the Telvanni section of Vivek. Don't know why you do this to me. It's just terrible. Okay. I might check it out. Telvanni section probably has a decent book selection anyway. Let's give him one of those wizards. It's next on price can be whatever. It doesn't look like he has any books, so yeah, this is not at all where I need to be. So, is it maybe St. Ohms? I don't know. Well, might as well just go to the Telvanni section. I don't know what else I can. Ooh. Alright, we'll go, let's go over to the temple first. The temple has a pretty big library. We can go there first before checking out the Telvanni area, seeing if we can find that wizard and help the poor chap with his invisibility. Ooh, is there a good way to go down? Oh shit. No, that was definitely not the good way to go down, but it worked. We're alive. That's what matters. Alright, we're in the temple. I believe the Hall of Justice, the Hall of Wisdom is on that side, and I think there's a library there. I'll read tons of books, probably. Alright. Library of Vivek. Yes, here we are.
Speak quickly, Outlander, or go away.
We'll have no trouble here.
Ooh, the Real Baron Zaya, all volumes. We're all in order. Wait, is it? Okay, well, they have 1 and 2. Oh, they have a... Okay. Well... Okay, they have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So they have the same of... I guess it is a library, makes sense. But they have the same of every book, or a lot of these books, very often, duplicate.
I will listen, Outlander, but make it quick.
Which, I mean, I've read a lot of these, actually. But there are quite a few here that I haven't read yet, which is awesome.
We're watching you, scum.
I wonder why they have so many. They have the biography and the real, the real biography of Baron Zaya. Alright, well, what should I start with?
Quickly, Outlander.
Let's start with maybe the Eastern Provinces, Constitutions of Prayer. Let's start with Vivek and Mafala.
But make it quick.
Vivek and Mafala, or all the stories with Vivek, they're usually pretty entertaining. Vivek is just a crazy guy. So like anything that has him in it is always just like, what is this? Alright, so here we go. Vivek and Mafala. Who is Almsivi? Morrowind is a holy country, and its gods are flesh and blood. Collectively, these gods are called the Tribunal. The Triune Almsivi. 3 deities exemplifying Dunmeri virtues. Almalexia is mercy, Vivek is mastery, and Sothasil is mystery. Vivek is easily the most popular of them all. Vivek is also the most public, for he is the beloved warrior poet of the true people, paradoxically beautiful and bloody. Vivek is an artistic violence. Vivek is represented in temple literature and liturgy as one of the divine kings of Morrowind. He guards the sacred Valafi subcontinent of Vardenfell and stands guard over Red Mountain, the gate to Hell. He is part of the Holy Tribunal, a god of the New Temple, and an aspect of the blessed and righteous Amsivi. This explicit presentation of Vivek, the guardian god king and warrior poet, is the one most accessible and familiar to Westerners. However, it is important to remember that Vivek is also known to the Dunmer as the transcendent evolution of the Daedra that anticipated him. Black Hand's Mephala, a foundation figure of the earliest Chimer. This darker side of Vivek does not appear in the popular literature and liturgy, but is instinctively understood and accepted by the Dunmer as an integral part of Vivek's divine aspect. A more complete appreciation of the complex nature of Vivek requires an understanding of the nature of Vivek's anticipation, Mephala, and the darker themes represented by this Daedra Lord's modes and motivations. Who is Mephala? Each of the three tribunes of the temple were represented in the dawn of Chimeri culture by the anticipations. These anticipations are known to the west as the sinister Daedra Lords Azura, Boethia, and Mephala. The temple to theology, however, Azura is the anticipation of Sothasil, the mage lord of the Almsivi. Boethia is the anticipation of Almalexia, Almsivi's mother and lady. Mephala is the anticipation of Vivek. According to the legend, under the guidance of these three Daedra lords, a discontented throng of Altmer transformed themselves into a new people and founded a new land. And while Boethia, the so-called Prince of Plots, provided the revolutionary methods needed to bring about this transformation, Mephala was the shadowy implementer of those methods. As known in the West, Mephala is the demon of murder, sex, and secrets. All of these themes contain subtle aspects and violent ones: assassination/genocide, courtship/orgy, tact/poetic truths. Mephala is understood paradoxically to contain and integrate these contradictory themes, and all these subtle undercurrents and contradictions are present in the Dunmer concept of Vivek, even if they're not explicitly described and explained in temple doctrine. The Dunmer do not envision Lord Vivek as a creature of murder, sex, and secrets. Rather, they conceive Lord Vivek as a benevolent king, guardian, warrior, poet-artist. But at the same time, unconsciously, they accept the notion of the darker hidden currents beneath Vivek's benevolent aspects. For example, one of the most striking persistent myths associated with Vivek is the story that Vivek conspired with his co-rulers Almalexia and Sothasil in the murder of Lord Nerevar, the greatest of Dunmer heroes and generals. The story is derived from Ashlander oral tradition and is flatly contradicted by temple traditions. Nonetheless, the tale is firmly established in the Dunmer imagination, as if to say, of course Lord Vivek would never have conspired to murder Lord Nerevar, but it happened so long ago. Who can know the truth? The public face of Vivek is benign, sensitive, compassionate, and protective of his followers. At the same time, the Dunmer seem irrationally comfortable with the hidden aspects of Vivek, the darker components of violence, lust, and conspiracy associated with the more primitive and ruthless impulses of the anticipations. Okay, always interesting. So, let's make sure I check that off the list. Wait, where is it? But yeah, Vivek, very nice. But yeah, it is interesting. So the Dunmer, they kind of know and understand that Vivek has a lot of these darker aspects, and, you know, they're suspicious of the, you know, murder or, you know, the death of, wait, what? They're suspicious of the death of Nerevar, and think, you know, Vec might have done it, you never know. But they're still completely comfortable with that. I already marked it off, I forgot about that. So that is interesting. They kind of instinctively know about it, but like of its darker aspects and stuff. But I mean, I guess since, you know, the Dunmer followed, you know, the Daedra Lords before that, I mean, I guess Vivek and the others, they would just be an improvement upon the Daedra Lords, right? They're more kind and compassionate and, like, loving of the Dunmer people. So even if they do have, from, like, an outside perspective, they're still kind of maybe a little bit evil and sketchy. You know, to the Dunmer people, it's a big improvement over the previous gods that they had. So I guess in that way it also makes sense. Alright, let's try Arcana Restored. I think I might have read that one. Let me check. Alright, so it's in Instruction and Research. Maybe I haven't. I feel like I've read some other book that had Arcana in its title or something like that. Here we go. Nope, I haven't. Good to know. Alright. Read this one next. Alright. Arcana Restored, a handbook by Wapna Nusra, Preceptor Emeritus. Form the first. Makest thou the mana fountain to be primed with pure gold, for from pure gold only may the humors be rectified, and the pure principles coaxed from the chaos of pure power. Droppest thou then the pure gold upon the surface of the mana fountain, takest thou exceeding great care to safeguard yourself from the insalubrious tempests of the mana fountain, for through such assaults may one's health be utterly blighted. Form the second. Make sure that thou harvest with you this excellent manual, so that thou might speak the necessary words straight away and without error, so that thou not in carelessness cause thyself and much else to discorporate and disorder the world with your component humors. Form the third. Take in hand the item to be restored, and hold it forth within the primed fountain, murmuring all the while while the appropriate phrases, which are to be learned most expeditiously and faultlessly from this manual, and this manual alone, notwithstanding the vile calumnies of Carnison and Ratter, whose bowels are consumed by envy of my great learning, and who do falsely give testament to the efficacies of their own manuals, which are in every way inferior and steeped in error. Form the fourth. Proceed instantly to heal thyself of all injuries, or to prevail yourself of the healing powers of the temples and healers, for though the agonies of Manacost must be borne by any who would restore a prized arcana to full potency, yet it is not wise that suffering be endured unduly, nor does the suffering in any way render the potency more sublime. notwithstanding the foolish speculation of Carnison and Ratter, whose faults and wickedness are manifest, even so the least learned of critics. Wait, hold on. This is interesting. Okay, hold on. Pretty much while I was reading it, this popped into my head here. So as soon as I got, like Mana Fountain, you know, I'm trying to think of any Mana Fountains that I've seen in the games. The only thing I can think of is the College of Winterhold. They've got these, like, you know, they've got like these blue beams kind of shooting up into the sky, and there's like they're like in little wells that they originate from. There's some kind of liquid, and I'm not sure if I'm remembering this at all correctly. Like at the center of the College of Winterhold, there's like a well, there's a kind of a spring with that beam, and if you stand in it, your magicka regenerates, right? Might be remembering that completely wrong. But anyway, I mean, there's still these, like, you know, kind of wells of liquid with like a blue beam shooting up, which, you know, I've always kind of assumed was magicka. And maybe this is... And then also, you know, there's the Great Disaster in Winterhold, where, you know, there's that huge earthquake and stuff. And maybe this is like this is what caused it. They were trying to restore, they were trying to, you know, follow one of these handbooks. Maybe not this one specifically. Maybe they followed Carnison or Ratters, which are who have many faults and are very wicked. And they're in every way inferior and steeped in error. But, because right here it says, where is it? Taking the hand, blah blah blah, murmuring all. Without error, so that thou not in carelessness cause thyself and much else to discorporate and disorder the world with your component humors. Right? And it's talking about like mana fountains. Maybe that's what it was, and that's why like the College of Winterhold has those kind of fountain-looking things, of like that look to be filled with magicka, and maybe this is what it's from. I mean, I watched this other lore video, right? That was about the Augur of Dunlane. Right, it was like a very long video. It was like 2-3 hours about the Augur of Dunlane, who only has like 2 or 3 voice lines in the game, in Skyrim. Very few voice lines. Not a major character at all. He's like one of the most side characters of the College of, or he's like a very minor character. He's a pretty minor character in the College of Winterhold storyline, which is not even part of the main storyline. So he's like a side character in a side quest. Not important at all. Somebody made a 2 or 3 hour video about him. And in that one, because the Augur of Dunlane, he used to be a human. And then there was an accident, who knows how long ago, maybe 70 years ago, like, you know, when the disaster of Winterhold happened. So yeah, the theory with that one was that whatever experiment the Augur of Dunlane was doing kind of caused him to turn into the Augur of Dunlane, but also caused the disaster. And there was something about like no, hold on. It was about like fountains, wasn't it? It was okay. It's kind of crazy. I think I found I think this is the book where they're like, oh yeah, you make a fountain and stuff. I mean, I think they connect in the lore video. They connected like whatever experiment the Augur of Dunlane was doing to something from Elder Scrolls Online, rather than like an in-game book like from, you know, one of these books. But I feel like that makes sense as well. So that's kind of cool. I mean, you know, it doesn't really explain much. Honestly, it just kind of tells you the fact that you can make a fountain of magicka, of arcana. But it's a very technical process that can go wrong supposedly pretty easily. And if it does go wrong, a lot of chaos ensues, and so that's interesting. And might be connected, which, you know, it's always fun. Let's see, what shall I read next? There's the True Nobles Code, which I haven't read yet. Progress of Truth. That sounds interesting as well, though. Bit more interesting, honestly, than the Noble Code, which I think I might have actually read already. Let's check if I've read the Nobles Code real quick, and then I'm probably gonna end up reading the other one, which I don't remember the name of. The Nobles Code. Yes, I've read it. The other one was in Politics and Law, which honestly, the placement of its, you know, the subject matter makes it be a bit less intrigued, because Politics and Law does not sound very exciting and interesting. But, you know, I mean, it might be interesting. I mean, Morrowind has a lot of interesting laws, honestly. You know, like assassination is completely legal in Morrowind. You know, they've got some interesting laws going on. Yes, I haven't read it, so that's cool. You know, they've got some interesting laws going on in Morrowind, you know. Assassinations, like, just a legal and accepted thing. There's like a very publicly facing assassination guild, and you can, you know, they've got bases just out in the open. It's pretty crazy. And yeah, I don't know. That's like the crazy one, you know. That's the very interesting legality, speaking wise, in Morrowind. There's other ones that are like, I mean, it's kind of interesting, like slavery is legal. Okay, interesting. Not all too fun though. You know, not too great. I'm trying to think. Is there any like other super interesting law speaking wise in Morrowind? I mean, the way they set up their politics with the houses is kind of interesting. Not really, to be honest. I mean, you know, it's interesting world building wise, but it's not the most, like... Yeah, it's a bit more standard, you know? Like, the assassination being illegal, that's pretty unique, I think. I don't think I've seen any other stories where, like, assassination is legal. I haven't really looked into, you know, the laws of Morrowind all too much. Alright, Progress of Truth. Progress of Truth, compiled by the Dissident Priests. Excerpt, concerning the points of temple doctrine challenged by the Dissident Priests. The divinity of the Tribunal. The temple doctrine claims their apotheosis was miraculously achieved through questing, virtue, knowledge, testing, and battling with evil. Temple doctrine claims their divine powers and immortality are ultimately conferred as a communal judgment by the Dunmer ancestors, including, among others, the good Daedra, the prophet Veloth, and the saint Nerevar. The dissident priests ask whether Daoth Ur's powers and the tribunal powers might be ultimately derived from the same source, Red Mountain. Sources in the Apocrypha suggest that the tribunal relied on profanely enchanted tools to achieve the godhead, and that those unholy devices were the ones originally created by the ungodly Dwemer, sorcerer Kagrenak, to create the false construct in Midium. The purity of the tribunal. The dissident priests say that the temple has always maintained a public face, represented by the hieroglypha, the priestly writings, and a hidden face, represented by the Apocrypha. The hidden writings. The public account portrays the actions of the tribunal in a heroic light, while the hidden writings reveal secrets, untruths, inconsistencies, conflicting accounts, and varying interpretations which hint at a darker and less heroic motives and actions of the tribunes. In particular, conflicting accounts of the battle at Red Mountain raise questions about the tribunal's conduct and about the source of their subsequent apotheosis. Also, there's good evidence that the tribunal have been concealing the true nature of the threat posed by Dagoth-Ur at Red Mountain, misleading the people about the tribunal's ability to protect Morrowind from Dagoth-Ur, and concealing a recent, dramatic diminishing of the tribunal's magical powers. 3. Temple accounts of the Battle of Red Mountain. Ashlander tradition does not place the tribunal at Red Mountain, and holds that the Dwemer destroyed themselves rather than that Nerevar destroyed them. Ashlander tradition further holds that Nerevar left Dagoth-Ur guarding the profane secrets of Red Mountain while Nerevar went to confer with the Grand Council, i.e. the tribunal. That Nerevar died at the conference not of his wounds, according to the Ashlanders, but from treachery, and that subsequently the tribunal confronted a defiant Dagoth-Ur within Red Mountain, then drove Dagoth-Ur beneath Red Mountain when he would not yield to their will. 4. Veneration of the Daedra, saints, and ancestors. While challenging the divinity of the tribunal, the dissidents do not challenge the sainthood or heroism of the tribunal. In fact, the dissident priests advocate restoring many of the elements of fundamentalist ancestor worship as practiced by the Ashlanders and by Saint Veloth. Exactly how this would work is debated inconclusively within the dissident priests. 5. Denial of the prophecies of the Incarnate and persecution of the Nerevarines. Though no consensus exists among the dissidents about whether the Nerevarine prophecies are genuine, all agree that the persecution of the Nerevarines is unjust and politically motivated. The dissident priests do not reject mysticism, revelation, or prophecy as part of the religious experience. The dissidents have not resolved the issue of true or false insights. They have studied the mysticism of the Ashlander ancestor cults, in particular the rites of the Ashlander seers and wise women, and the prophecies of the Incarnate. Many among the dissident priests have come to believe that the Nerevarine prophecies are genuine, and have made a systematic study of prophecies recorded in temple archives. 6. Authority of the Archcanon and Ordinators. The dissident priests reject the authority of the Archcanon and the Ordinators. The temple hierarchy has been corrupted by self-interest and politics, no longer acts in the best interests of the temple or its worshippers. The dissident priests believe the Archcanon and the Ordinators speak for themselves, not for the tribunal. The Inquisition and the use of terror and torture by the Ordinators. Within the temple hierarchy, it is an open secret that the Ordinators rely on abduction, terror, torture, and secret imprisonment to discourage heresy and dissent. The dissident priests feel the Ordinators are either out of control or tools used to maintain a corrupt priesthood and power. 8. Fundamentals of temple doctrine. Charity for the poor, education for the ignorant, protection for the weak. Though the dissident priests acknowledge that most rank-and-file priests honor the best traditions of the temple, they believe that many priests in higher ranks are interested more in love of authority and luxury than in the welfare of the poor, weak, and ignorant. You know, now that I'm reading, you know, a lot of the books in Morrowind, I mean, you know, it should be obvious, but I'm seeing a lot more, you know, even without reading them, I guess, but I'm seeing a lot more of the connection between, like, real life and Morrowind, rather than Morrowind just being, like, completely out there and alien. I mean, I never really completely thought that as well, but, you know, you get what I mean. I hope. You know, this really seems like, this seems very inspired by, like, Martin Luther. Like, when Martin Luther, like, took his reasons for why he didn't like the Catholic Church and, you know, hammered the, you know, took the, had it on a piece of paper and then hammered it onto, church doors. As, like, a poster, essentially. Right? And then here, this progress of truth that's in the library of the tribunal, which this is very, you know, this is giving all the reasons why they think the tribunal is kind of, you know, all these reasons why the tribunal isn't good, and it's just in the library of the tribunal, essentially, of the temple. It's pretty interesting. And I feel like it's probably kind of, at least a little bit inspired by Martin Luther. Like, especially with the, like, numbered reasons like this. Because, yeah, I mean, like, okay, 100%, this, like, reason 8 here, most rank and file priests honor the traditions of the temple. They believe that, the higher ranks are interested more in love of authority and luxury than in the welfare of the poor, weak, and ignorant. 100%, that's like... That was, like, probably one of the biggest things for Martin Luther. I think. I don't... Oh, man. My history brain is not as good as... I feel like I can remember lore for video games and, like, stories better than I can real-life lore. Maybe if I looked at it from that lens instead, I'd be able to remember it, like, my history lessons better. Look at it like video game lore and be like, ah, dude, what was that NPC Martin Luther getting up to? He wouldn't even, I don't know, but maybe if I looked at it that way, I would be able to remember history better. But, you know, one of, like, Martin Luther's big things was, if I remember correctly, that the priests were, like, taking money for confessions. You know, they'd be like, oh, yes, God will forgive you, you just have to give me a bit of money, and then God will forgive you. Right? And he was looking at those kind of practices of, like, the church kind of demanding money, right? And he was looking at that and being like, okay, these higher ranks, they're just kind of in love with authority and luxury. If I remember correctly, I might be completely off with this. I'm pretty sure I'm right. But, you know, take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, so it's pretty interesting. Because... like, is this library... I'm not actually sure about this, right? Is this library public? Like, is this a public library? Obviously, me, the character, I can just walk in, no problem. But that's just because I'm, you know, like, you know... I'm, like, the main character or whatever, essentially, here. So you can pretty much go wherever you want. Almost, you know, there's restrictions, but... yeah, like, if this is a public library, and they've just got the, these books out... Wait, which ones were they? What the heck? That's pretty interesting. Hey, why can't I... What the heck? Where is it? Arcana, no. What the heck? What the heck? Ah, there it is. Progress of Truth. Right? Like, they've just got Progress of Truth sitting there on the shelf.
Speak, traveler.
But is this like a public library? Even natives get confused in Vivek. What are you looking for? I do wonder. Pilgrim and novice of the temple.
Outlander, but make it quick.
I don't know. Because, yeah, I mean, it seems like it's kind of a...
I will listen, Outlander, but make it quick.
You know, it seems to be a pretty open place. You can just walk in, read the books. In which case, it seems pretty interesting that would just be kind of out in the open. It seems like something the temple would try to hide rather than... Oh my god, that whole shelf is just brief history of the Empire. Ooh, wow. Lots of books here. Deed to Indral's house. Huh. Why is that in the library? Alright.
Keep moving.
Let's see. Children's Guide, I've read that. Annotated Annuet, I've read that. Cantatas, I've read. Chronicles of Nehuleft, I think I've read that. But I shall check first. Chronicles of Nehuleft is in History and Lore. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. That's my best guess on the pronunciation of that. Yes, I have not read that one. So, that is coming up now. Chronicles of Nehuleft. Nehuleft. Alright. Chronicles of Nehuleft. This is a chronicle of events of historical significance to the Dwemer freehold colony of Nehuleft. The text was probably recorded by an Altmer, for it is written in Altmeris. 23. The death of Lord Icheldam. It happened in the second planting, PD 1220, that Lord Icheldam, on a journey in the western uplands, came to Nehuleft, and Protector Anchard and General Rekunthunch met him there, and Dalen Zanshu also came to the meeting. They talked together long by themselves, but this is only known of their business, that they were to be friends of each other. They parted, and each went to his own colony. Bluthanch and her sons came to hear of this meeting, and saw in this secret meeting a treasonable plot against the councils, and they often talked of this among themselves. When spring came, the councils proclaimed, as usual, a council meet. In the halls of Bams Amshend, the people accordingly assembled, hand-fastened with ale and song, drinking bravely and much and many. Things were talked over at the drink table, and among other things were comparisons between different Dwemer and, at last, among the councillors themselves. One said that Lord Icheldam excelled his fellow councillors by far and in every way. At this, Councillor Bluthank Bluthanch was very angry and said that she was in no way less than Lord Icheldan, and that she was eager to prove it. Instantly, both parties were so inflamed that they challenged each other to battle and ran to their arms, but some citizens who were less drunk and more understanding came between them and quieted them, and each went back to his colony. But nobody expected that they would ever meet in peace again together. But then, in the fall, Lord Icheldan received a message from the Councillor Bluthanch inviting him to parley at Hendor Stardoms, and all Icheldan's kin and citizens strongly urged him not to come, fearing treachery. But Lord Icheldan would not listen to counsel, not even caring, sorry. Not even to carrying with him his honor guard. And sadly, it came to pass, while traveling to Hendor Stardoms in Chichen's Pass, a host of foul creatures set upon Lord Icheldan and killed him, and all of his party, and many citizens said thereafter that Bluthanch and her sons had conjured these beasts and set them upon Lord Icheldan, but nothing was proven. Lord Icheldan lies buried at a place called Left Hunch. My goodness, what a mouthful of a book. I think this was the exact book that Brian David Gilbert, in his reading of every book in Skyrim, talked about, where he was like, oh, these history and lore books are terrible, and he read the first section of it, and that's why I was pronouncing Nehuleft like that, just because Brian automatically that's what I thought of when I saw the word, without even realizing it, because I think that's just the book that Brian David Gilbert read the first section of, as a example in his video. Alright, Grasping Fortune. I don't think I've read that one either. Grasping Fortune would be in the faction books. Which is, where is it? Here we go. Hopefully. There it is. Alright. Got our next book. Grasping Fortune. Alright. Grasping Fortune by Sir Joe Hlalu Drambereau. I am a counselor of House Hlalu, and chose to write this short guide for those who seek to understand us or join us. House Hlalu is the most open and modern of the great houses. We are the only great house who has embraced the irresistible ties of imperial law and custom, and thus we have profited by the Empire's new policies, rising from obscurity as the greatest of houses. In the great wind of progress, tradition cannot stand. The Redoran may surpass us on the field of battle, but when the dust clears, they will find themselves indebted to us. The Telvanni may know many arcane secrets, but they fight amongst themselves more than against each other, and they cannot adapt to the ways of the Empire. Ancient and powerful though a Telvanni wizard may be, no individual can withstand the march of history. The Indoril are loved by the people for their gifts and donations, but when the money runs dry, will the people remember? The Dres know how to make money, but they have not learned how to make enemies. How not to make enemies. Grasp fortune by the forelocks. When you see your chance, seize them. When you see a chance to turn a profit, take it. But do not follow money blindly. There is value in reputation, more than many young Hlalu realize. This value must be carefully balanced against the more tangible coins in any deal. theft and murder are bad for business. You can steal from someone, but will he trade with you after that? You can't bargain with a dead man. There are many ways to do business. In House Lalu, you must be fast and agile. You must be able to keep up with business and with the times. You must be able to speak quickly and convincingly. You must be able to trade with the best of merchants and make a profit. You must learn to protect your own property by securing it with hidden chests, locks, and even traps. And when confrontation is unavoidable, it is best to fight quickly in comfortable light armors with short blades, or to fight from a distance with marksman's weapons. Then, reader, would you seize this opportunity to join House Lalu? Would you have yourself be counted among the victors in the race for success? Then submit yourself for examination at the Balmora Council Manor. If you have the skills, you will be welcome, and if you have the will, you may serve House Lalu and advance in the ranks, for above all things, House Lalu prizes initiative and ambition. Okay. I do like how they're like, yeah, stealing and killing is bad, because you can't if you steal from someone, they won't want to trade with you anymore, and you can't make money from them after that. And if you kill someone, you can't trade with them anymore and make money. So that's bad as well. That is that's hilarious. Okay. Let's see. What is next? The Eastern Provinces, maybe? Let's see if I've read that one yet. Okay, it's another law book, it seems. Alright. Eastern Provinces. Impartiality. Alright. The Eastern Provinces' impartiality considered. And even if we overlook the dubious moral and legal justifications for hundreds of years of occupation of these two provinces, what economic or military benefits can we derive from Morrowind and Blackmarsh? Indeed, a few beneficiaries of imperial monopolies in the province do profit from the exploitation of their wealth and resources, but does the Empire as a whole benefit? Hardly. The vast machineries of the imperial bureaucracies cost far more to maintain than can be recovered in duties and taxes, and the cost of establishing and maintaining the garrisons of the Imperial Legion in the far-flung wilderness posts of these provinces would be cost-effective only if there were evidence of a military threat from the east, but no such evidence exists. No army of Morrowind or Blackmarsh has ever threatened the security of any other imperial province, let alone the security of Cyrodiil itself. In fact, a greater threat to imperial security lies in the idle legions that the taxpayer spends thousands of drakes to support. The generals of these legions, facing no enemies or opposition within the borders of their province, may look with ambition to the west, with their loyal veteran troops and coffers fattened by friendly monopolists. They become unpredictable political factors in the uncertainties surrounding the imperial succession. If the occupation of Morrowind and Blackmarsh were motivated by idealistic aspirations, perhaps there might lie some justification for bearing the burden of the Empire. But consider the shame of the Empire's mute acceptance to the unspeakable practices of slavery in Morrowind. Instead of using our Imperial legions to free the wretched Khajiit and Argonian slaves from their Dark Elf masters, we pay our troops to protect the indefensible institution of slavery. Within the ebony mines of Morrowind, bloated monopolists under imperial charters exploit slave labor to harvest the outrageous profits assured by rampant graft and corruption. Consider the colossal arrogance of our proposition to bring peace and enlightenment to the East, when in fact we have only brought our armies into lands who have never threatened us, and when we have only exploited the most shameful and evil practices we have found in Morrowind and Blackmarsh, simply to enrich the friends and flatterers of the imperial family. Impartially consider our occupations of the eastern provinces as morally corrupt, militarily indefensible, and economically ruinous. The only conclusion is that we should disband the eastern legions, withdraw the imperial bureaucracies and monopolists from the east, and give these ancient lands and people their freedom. Only by doing so may we hope to preserve the fragile ideals and fortunes of the Western cultures. Chase Maurice, good morning, good day, and good night. Good morning, good day, and good night to you as well. How are you doing? Alright, this one is a fun one. This book here definitely does not resemble colonialism, American colonialism in the slightest. Just a nice innocent book about, some in-game colonialism that doesn't relate to the real world at all. It's not a commentary on anything. Alright, what is next? But yeah, it is interesting. That is, I mean, I guess it would make sense that the library of the library here would have that type of book, because I'm sure they want independence from the Empire as well. The Darkest Darkness, actually, I don't think I've read that one either. Darkest Darkness. So that will be in instruction and research. Actually, hold on. Let me do 5 songs of King Wolfheart first, because I just saw this on the list and it is not checked off. Alright. The 5 songs of King Wolfheart. Shore's Tongue. The first song of King Wolfheart is ancient, circa First Era 500. After the defeat of the Elysian army at Glenumbria Moors, where King Hog Mercular was slain, Wolfheart of Atmora was elected by the Pact of Chieftains. His Thu'um was so powerful that he could not verbally swear into office, and scribes were used to draw up his oaths. Immediately thereafter, the scribes wrote down the first new law of his reign, a fiery reinstatement of the traditional Nordic pantheon. The edicts were outlawed, their priests put to the stake, and their halls set ablaze. The shadow of King Borgus had ended for a span. For his zealotry, King Wolfheart was called Shore's Tongue, and Ysmir, Dragon of the North. Kind's Son. The second song of King Wolfheart glorifies his deeds in the eyes of the old gods. He fights the eastern orcs and shouts their chief into hell. He rebuilds the 418th step of High Hrothgar, which had been damaged by a dragon. When he swallowed a thundercloud to keep his army from catching cold, the Nords called him the Breath of Kine. Old Knocker. The third song of King Wolfheart tells of his death. Orkay, an enemy god, had always tried to ruin the Nords, even in Atmora, where he stole their years away. Seeing the strength of King Wulfharth, Orcé summoned the ghost of Alduin, the Time Eater, again. Nearly every Nord was eaten, down to the 6-year-old boy. But Wulfharth pleaded to Shor, the dead chieftain of the gods, to help his people. Shor's own ghost then fought the Time Eater on the spirit plane, as he did at the beginning of time, and he won, and Orcé's folk, the orcs, were ruined. As boy Wulfharth watched the battle in the sky, he learned a new thum. What happens when you shake the dragon just so? He used this magic to change his people back to normal, in his haste to save so many, though he shook too many years out on himself. He grew older than the Greybeards and died. The flames of Spire were said to have reached the hearth of Kine itself. Ash King. The fourth song of King Wulfharth tells of his rebirth. The dwarves and devils of the eastern kingdoms had started to fight again, and the Nords hoped they might reclaim their ancient holdings there because of it. They planned an attack, and then gave up, knowing that they had no strong king to lead them. Then in walked the devil of Dagoth, who swore he came in peace. Moreover, he told the Nords a wondrous thing. He knew where the heart of Shor was. Long ago, the chief of the gods had been killed by elven giants, and they ripped out Shor's heart and used it as a standard to strike fear into the Nords. This worked until Gisgramor shouted some sense, and the Nords fought back again. Knowing that they were going to lose eventually, the elven giants hid the heart of Shor, so that the Nords might never have their god back. But here was the devil of Dagoth, with good news. The dwarves and the devils of the Eastern Kingdom had his heart, and this was the reason for their recent unrest. The Nords asked the devil of Dagoth why he might betray his countrymen. Why he might betray his countrymen. And he said that the devils have betrayed each other since the beginning of time, and this was so, and so the Nords believed him. The tongues sung Shor's ghost into the world again. Shor gathered an army as he did of old, and then he was sucked in the long-strewn ashes of King Wulfharth and remade him, for he needed a good general. But the devil of Dagoth petitioned to be that general too, and he pointed out his role as the blessed harbinger of this holy war. So, Shor had two generals, the Ash King and the devil of Dagoth, and he marched on the eastern kingdoms with all the sons of Skyrim. Red Mountain. The fifth song of King Wulfharth is sad. The survivors of the disaster came back under a red sky. That year is called the Sun's Death. The devil of Dagoth had tricked the Nords, for the heart of Shor was not in the eastern kingdom, and had never been there at all. As soon as Shor's army had got to Red Mountain, all the devils and dwarves fell upon them. Their sorcerers lifted the mountains and threw it into Shor, trapping him underneath the Red Mountain until the end of time. They slaughtered the sons of Skyrim, but not before the King Wulfharth killed King Dumalakaf, the dwarf orc, and doomed his people. Then Vec, the devil, blasted the Ash King into hell, and it was over. Later, Kine lifted the ashes of Ymir into the sky, saving him from hell, and showing her sons the color of blood when it is brought by betrayal, and the Nords will never trust another devil again. The secret song of Wulfharth, Ash King. The truth at Red Mountain. The heart of Shor was in Resdayn, as Dagoth had promised. As Shor's army approached the westernmost bank of the Inner Sea, they stared across Red Mountain, where the Dwemer armies had gathered. News from the scouts had reported that the Chimeri forces had just left Narcissus, and that they were taking their time joining their cousins against the Nords. Dagoth said that the tribunal had betrayed their king's trust, so that they sent Dagoth to Lorkhan, for that is what they call Shor and Resdayn, so that the gods might wreak vengeance on the dwarves for their hubris. That Nerevar's peace with the Dwemer would be the ruin of the Velothi way. This was the reason for the slow muster. Dagothr said, "The armies grow." And Lorkhan, for that is what they called Shor and Resdain, said, "I do not wreak vengeance on the dwarves for the reasons that the tribunal might believe I do. Nevertheless, it is true that they will die by my hand, and any who ever should side with them. This Nerevar is the son of Boethia, one of the strongest Paramaics. He is a hero to his people despite his tribunal, and he shall muster enough that this battle will be harder going still. We will need more than what we have." And so Dagothr, who wanted the dwarves as dead as the tribunal... Man, sorry. Yawning. Wanted the dwarves as dead as the tribunal did, went to Kogoran and summoned his house Chap Thil, his Nixhounds, his wizards, archers, his stolen men of brass, and the Ash King. Wilfoth Hori Ysmir went and made peace with the orcs in spite of his Nordic blood. They brought many warriors, but no wizards at all. Many Nords could not bring themselves to ally with their traditional enemies. Even in the face of Red Mountain, they were close to desertion. Then Wilfar said, "Don't you see where you really are? Don't you know who Shor really is? Don't you know what this war is?" And they looked from the king to the god to the devils and orcs, and some knew, really knew. They are the ones that stayed. The Doom Drum. Nerevar carried Keening, a dagger made of the sound of the shadow of the moons. His champions were Dumak, Dwarf King, who carried a hammer of divine mass, and Alandro Sul, who was the immortal son of Azura, and wore the Wraith Mail. They met Lorkhan at the last battle of Red Mountain. Lorkhan had been from it, and he needed time. Wolfarth met Sul, but could not strike him, and he fell from grievous wounds, but not before shouting, soul blind, maybe? Dagothr met Dumak and slew him, but not before Sunder struck his lord's heart. Nerevar turned away from Lorkhan and struck down Dagothr in rage. But he took a mortal wound from Lorkhan in turn. But Nerevar feigned the death that was coming early, and so struck Lorkhan with surprise on his side. The heart had been made solid by Sunder's tuning blow, and Keening could not now cut it out. And it was cut out, and Lorkhan was defeated, and the whole ordeal was thought over. Lots of stuff going on there. Yeah, so it's talking about like Battle of Red Mountain, which seems like a very confusing affair. I'm not really sure about Red Mountain, like what actually happened. I think it might be one of those dragon breaks, which I feel like a lot of this stuff I'm not sure about. I feel like my knowledge of lore is not sufficient. Right, but I feel like there's so many conflicting stories for Battle of Red Mountain. I think it might be a Dragon Break situation where, different accounts, like basically the timeline splits into like, the Dragon Break happens, timeline splits into like 5, whatever, how many, separate timelines. It splits open, and then it converges again. Once the Dragon Break ends, right? So all these different timelines happened, and they are all true at the same time. And different people, if they lived through the Dragon Break, will tell you what happened during the Dragon Break from their perspective, and it'll be true, but then you talk to another person, and he'll say a bunch of stuff that contradicts what the first person said, and it'll also be true. So, timeline splits and then converges again, and all the stuff that happened during that time is technically true and did happen, but also it's just kind of confusing like that. So I think Red Mountain, I don't know if it actually is, but Battle of Red Mountain might, I say, be one of those situations, a Dragon Break. But, I don't know. My confidence in my knowledge of lore has only been decreasing as I've read more. I've been learning more, so I found that I didn't know as much as I thought.
Not now,
Which,
head on.
it's also interesting. It's, always nice to learn more about your interests. So next up is Darkest Darkness here, which is instruction and research, which usually have been kind of interesting, actually. They've been some of the more interesting books, the instruction and research ones. Alright. Darkest Darkness. In Morrowind, both worshippers and sorcerers summon lesser Daedra and bound Daedra as servants and instruments. Most Daedric servants can be summoned by sorcerers only for very brief periods, within the most fragile and tenuous framework of commands and binding. This fortunately limits their capacity for mischief. Though only in a few minutes, most of these servants can do terrible harm to their summoners, as well as their enemies. Worshippers may bind other Daedric servants to this plane through rituals and pacts. Such arrangements result in the Daedric servant remaining on this plane indefinitely, or at least until their bodily manifestations on this plane are destroyed, precipitating their supernatural essence back to oblivion. Whenever Daedra are encountered at Daedric ruins or in tombs, they are almost invariably long-term visitors to our plane. Likewise, lesser entities bound by their Daedra lords into weapons and armor may be summoned for brief periods or may persist indefinitely, so long as they are not destroyed and banished. The class of bound weapons and bound armors summoned by temple followers and conjurers are examples of short-term bindings. Daedric artifacts like Mehrunes Razor and the Mask of Clavicus Vile are examples of long-term bindings. The Tribunal Temple of Morrowind has incorporated the veneration of Daedra as lesser spirits subservient to the immortal Almsivi, the triune godhead of Almalexius, Sothasil, and Vivec. These subordinate Daedra are divided into the good Daedra and the bad Daedra. The good Daedra have willingly submitted to the authority of the Almsivi. The bad Daedra are rebels who defy Almsivi's treacherous kin, who are most often adversaries than allies. The good Daedra are Boethia, Azura, and Mephala. The Hunger is a powerful and violent lesser Daedra associated with Boethia, father of plots, a sinuous, long-limbed, long-tailed creature with a beast-skulled head, noted for its paralyzing touch and its ability to disintegrate weapons and armor. The Winged Twilight is a messenger of Azura, goddess of dusk and dawn. Winged twilights represent the feral harpies of the west, though the feminine aspects of the winged twilight are more ravishing, and their long, sharp hooked tails are immeasurably more deadly. Spider Daedra are the servants of Mephala, taking the forms of spider humanoid centaurs with naked upper body, torso, and arms of human proportion, mounted on the 8 legs and armored carapace of a giant spider. Unfortunately, these Daedra are so fierce and irrational that they cannot be trusted to heed the commands of the spinner. As a consequence, few sorcerers are willing to either summon or bind such creatures in Morrowind. The bad Daedra are Mehrunes Dagon, Malakath, Sheogorath, and Molag Bal. 3 lesser Daedra are associated with Mehrunes Dagon: the agile and pesky Scamp, the ferocious and beast-like Clannfear, and the noble and deadly Dremora. The crocodile-headed humanoid Daedra called Daedroth is a servant of Molag Bal, while the giant but dim-witted Ogrim is a servant of Malakath. Sheogorath's Lesser Daedra, the Golden Saint, a half-clothed human female in appearance, is highly resistant to magic and a dangerous spellcaster. Another type of Lesser Daedra often encountered in Morrowind is the Atronach, or Elemental Daedra. Atronachs have no binding kinship or alignments with the Daedra lords, serving one realm or another at a whim, shifting sides according to seduction, compulsion, or opportunity. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, that one was mostly stuff I already knew. Except, the thing about Daedric artifacts, that was interesting. So, like, like summoned weapons and armor. Right, I kind of knew this already. Lesser entities bound by their Daedra lords into weapons and armor may be summoned for brief periods. I knew that like, the when you summon a Daedric weapon or summon armor, that's like a lesser. That is like you are summoning a Daedra, like essentially a demon. That's just in the shape and function of a weapon or armor. I knew that. And then I guess this ties into this as well, but I didn't really realize this is also how it worked, where you could bind Daedric servants to this plane through rituals and pacts, resulting in indefinite stays on this realm. I didn't know that either, actually. That you could like do rituals and pacts to get a Daedra to stay on Mundus, you know, the plane that you play on, that your character's on, that all the mortal, humans and elves are on, kind of permanently or indefinitely until they like get killed or destroyed. And that is also interesting because yeah, so here it says, like, Daedric weapons, so, like, the bound weapons, of course, right? Those are Daedra. But also the Daedric artifacts, like Mehrunes Razor and Mask of Clannic's Vial, you know, all the Daedric artifacts that those guys give you, are also, like, the same thing, pretty much, as the bound weapons that you get. Except, I guess they're bound indefinitely to the mortal plane with a ritual or pact. Which is also interesting, because I guess that sort of explains why they can, like, sort of explains, I guess, the mechanism for how they go back to the Daedric prince that owns them. Because you know, the Daedric weapons, they kind of just end up all over the place, kind of randomly, and it's like, how did they even get there? Because kind of the way I viewed it originally, before this book, was the Daedric artifacts are basically just, like Mehrunes Razor, for example, since that's the one that's shown here, you know, that's the one they mention here. I thought that was just like a really well-made dagger with a really good enchantment, essentially. Right? Like, a good enough blacksmith and enchanter could recreate Mehrunes Razor and have equivalent, and it would be pretty much the same thing. Right? So, you know, it's just like a regular, you know, it's just a dagger, a really good, well-made dagger that's been enchanted really well, and then, you know, and a Daedric prince owns it, so it's a Daedric artifact type of thing. But no, it's actually that Mehrunes Razor itself is also a Daedra. Like, all the Daedric artifacts themselves are also Daedra. just like the bound weapons and armor are Daedra. So they're, I guess, essentially living weapons, which is pretty cool, actually. And I guess that's how, you know, if a Daedric prince, like, you know, tosses out one of their Daedric artifacts out into the world to cause a bit of havoc or something, and then as long as the pact gets broken, or the ritual gets broken, or the weapon gets destroyed, it just, like all Daedra, respawns back in Oblivion. It just respawns if it ever gets destroyed. So that's pretty interesting. So I don't know. I didn't even know that. You learn something new every day. That's pretty cool. Alright, I think I'll read... if I haven't read this one, I'll read this. The Changed Ones or the Brothers of Darkness. We'll go with Brothers of Darkness. If I haven't read this one, I'll read that one, and then that'll be the last book I read today, because I've read a lot. I've read a lot, because we went to the library, and there's lots and lots of books here. I haven't read Brothers of Darkness, so we'll read this one, and that'll be the last book for the day. And then next week, the first book I'm gonna read. I'm gonna read the entire book series, The Real Baron's Eye. I've been excited to read it for a while. It was here at the library. I didn't end up reading it. I wanted to save it for a good moment, and I think a good moment is going to be the start of the stream on next Friday. Which actually, yeah, no, it's fine. Alright. The Brothers of Darkness. Hold on. Alright. The Brothers of Darkness. As their name suggests, the Dark Brotherhood has a history shrouded in obfuscation. Their ways are secret to those who are not themselves brothers of the Order. Brother is a generic term. Some of the deadliest assassins are female, but they are often called brothers as well. How they continue to exist in shadow, but be easily found by those desperate enough to pay them for their services, is not the least of the mysteries surrounding them. The Dark Brotherhood sprang from a religious order, the Morag Tong, during the Second Era. The Morag Tong were worshippers of the Daedra spirit Mephala, who encouraged them to commit ritual murders in their earlier years. They were as disorganized as only obscure cultists could be there. It was no one to lead the band, and as a group, they dared not murder anybody of importance. This changed with the rise of the Night Mother. All leaders of the Morag Tong, and then afterward the Dark Brotherhood, have been called the Night Mother. Whether the same woman, if it even is a woman, has commanded the Dark Brotherhood since the Second Era is unknown. What is believed is that the original Night Mother developed an important doctrine of the Morag Tong. The belief that while Mephala does grow stronger with every murder committed in her name, certain murders were better than others. Murders that came from hate pleased Mephala more than murders committed because of greed. Murders of great men and women pleased Mephala more than murders of relative unknowns. We can approximate that the time this belief was adopted with the first known murder committed by the Morag Tong in the year 324 of the Second Era. The Potente Versidius Shea was murdered in his palace in what is today the Elsewhere Kingdom of Senchal. In a brash move, the Night Mother announced the identity of the murderers by painting Morag Tong on the walls in the Potente's own blood. Previous to that, the Morag Tong existed in relative peace, more or less like a witches' coven, occasionally persecuted, but usually ignored. In remarkable synchronicity, at a time when Tamriel, the arena, was a fractured land, the Morag Tong was outlawed throughout the continent. Every sovereign gave the cult's elimination his highest priority. Nothing more was officially heard from them for 100 years. It is more difficult to date the era where the Morag Tong re-emerged as the Dark Brotherhood, especially as other guilds of assassins have sporadically appeared throughout the history of Tamriel. The first mention of the Dark Brotherhood that I have found is from the journals of the Blood Queen Arlimahera of Hagath. She spoke of slaying her enemies by her own hand, or, if necessary, with the help of the Night Mother and her Dark Brotherhood. The secret arsenal my family has employed since my grandfather's time. Arlimahera wrote this in Second Era 412. So one can surmise that the Dark Brotherhood had been in existence at least 360 if her grandfather had truly made use of them. The important distinction between the Dark Brotherhood and the Morag Tong was that the Dark Brotherhood was a business as much as it was a cult. Rulers and wealthy merchants used the order as an assassin's guild. The Brotherhood gained the obvious rewards of a profitable enterprise, as well as the secondary benefit that rulers could no longer actively persecute them. They were needed. They were the purveyors of an essential commodity. Even an extremely virtuous leader would be unwise to mistreat the Brotherhood. Not long after Ali Mahera's journal entry came perhaps the most famous series of executions in the history of the Dark Brotherhood. The Colovian Emperor Potente, Savirien Shorak, and every one of his heirs were murdered on one bloody night in Sun's Dawn in 430. Within a fortnight, the Colovian dynasty crumbled to the delight of its enemies. For over 400 years, until the advent of the warrior Emperor Tiber Septim, chaos reigned over Tamriel, though no comparably impressive executions have been recorded. The Brotherhood must have grown fat with gold during that interregnum. The Brotherhood has no shortage of business opportunities, as in accounting I have been informed is the Brotherhood's favorite euphemism for execution. While they are officially considered an unlawful organization in every corner of the Empire, like the Thieves' Guild, they are almost as universally tolerated. Alright. That is interesting. Because I kind of thought the Morag Tong were like the Morag Tong. I mean, I knew that the Dark Brother kind of came from the Morag Tong, but I thought the Morag Tong were. Well, I mean, I guess this is the faction book for the Dark Brotherhood, so they're not really going to go into detail about the Morag Tong at all. But yeah, Dark Brotherhood's pretty cool. Good assassins, I guess. I don't know. Not much to say about this one here. Alright, I think that will do it for today. Read quite a few books, I think.
What do you want?
And let me just find the real Baron Zaya real quick. There we go. So next time I can just straight away go into reading that. Alright. I hope you guys had a good time. And yeah, have a nice day, nice night, whatever time zone you're in. And yeah, peace.